Hi everyone, today we're going to talk about featured snippets on Google. In the previous video I shared some numbers, I showed how we are doing at the moment, what's our content strategy, how we're going around to increase our number of views, impressions and clicks on Google. And the video before that we discussed about core web vitals, which could be a way to improve your ranking after the Google core search engine update. But today I wanted to talk about something else because this is a major cause of concern for many websites. I've seen many people say they've completely lost all their featured snippets. If you don't know what this is, stay for the video because I'm going to explain in details what this is, how this looks like, how you can take advantage of that for your business. And stay until the end because there's hope. Even if you've lost your snippets, there might be a reason why, and there's reason to be hopeful. I will show you at the end of the video. Okay, before we jump into the content, please like, subscribe. Tell us in the comments below if you've lost featured snippets, or maybe you didn't have them, or if you don't know what this is. Tell us anyway. I'd be super happy to hear from you, to read you. It's going to help me what my audience cares about and how they've been affected, and whether we can discuss this further or not. So let's jump into the content. So I saw this post on the Google Search Console help, and that's why I decided to make this video, because it's not the first message like this I see. This person says, lost all featured snippets site-wide. As of May 22 Google core update, my site has lost all featured snippets. Any thoughts? I have actually seen many people in that case. I've read a lot on the SEO subreddit, on different online communities, that many websites lost their featured snippets. If you don't know what snippets are, featured snippets, let me show you. So when you have a search result in Google, which is not just a list of links, but something that actually stands out, whether it's a bit of text, an image, sometimes a list, a featured video, these are the featured snippets, like this example. Let me make the website a bit bigger so you can see. And I'm going to show you a second link where we can see different examples of what this looks like. But this, so for example, if a user types how robots txt works, the response is going to be this featured snippet, which is a bit of text, which is an extract, an excerpt from the first result, usually. And so I will link this document in the description below. And you're going to learn more about featured snippets, but basically what's important to know is that you can block and you can opt out of featured snippets if you want to, but there's no way to force Google to show a featured snippet from your website. Basically, they say here, how can I mark my page as a featured snippet? And Google says you can't. Google system determine whether a page would make a good featured snippet for users' search request, and if so, elevates it. So the good thing is, when you have good content that Google says, it's a nice response to the actual user search query, then your website is more likely to be in the first position, because featured snippets are usually for first position results. Now the problem is many websites say they've been negatively affected by the latest Google core update algorithm change, and they no longer have any featured snippets, even though before they used to get a ton. And when you have a featured snippet, usually it's a big source of traffic. So this means these websites, they don't have lost just a few traffic sources. They may have lost a major cornerstone of their content strategy and their traffic volumes. So before we get into the positive news, because there is positive news, let me show you another article from SEMrush. It's a great article on their blog. I will link it also in the description. I won't read it entirely because it's super long, but basically it gives you a few different examples of featured snippets. And you see how to start a business. You have here a list of steps, which is taken from a website. Okay, so usually it's like, a list of results that's taken from a website. So here you have a list of steps. Here you have like a text and an image. I don't know why it's half hidden. Here you have some stats, super interesting. So this I think dates before the Google core update. I'd be super interested in seeing more up-to-date stats. If you have some, feel free to share them in the description below. But before, almost 20%, so 1 out of 5 search result pages had featured snippets. So that's really a lot. On all the keywords that exist, that's super important. And you see here, some search result pages, so 7% have double featured snippets. So it's not always the first result. In those cases, so it's not the majority of cases, but in those cases you have 2 different featured snippets. So that's super, super important. And you see the types of paragraphs, lists, table, and videos. So I suspect with the latest change in Google, the video category has tremendously been promoted. A lot more feature snippets will be videos going forward. And so that explains why many paragraphs and lists have been heavily downranked. So that's something to keep in mind. So here you have another example. We have a paragraph and an image. Here you have a table. So earnings for biggest tech corporations in the US 2020, and you have a table that's super interesting. Lists, list of sports in English. Videos, so videos, I think this is going to be increasingly popular, so you should definitely consider creating video content and using that content on your website. That's super important, and you're going to come up more frequently on search results. Okay, now if you've been negatively affected, what to do? So the problem is there's nothing you can do. As Google said, what can I do? How can I mark my page as a featured snippet? You can't. So the only real solution is to produce content that Google considers high quality. Now, I know everybody's trying their best and they consider their content is high quality, but what you need to do is not produce high quality in your eyes, but high quality in the eyes of Google. And what Google considers high quality these days is video, social media content that's been featured on social media, shared on social media, mentioned on social media, content from high authoritativeness and trustworthiness sources. So if you don't know what EAT is in the content of Google, EAT, expertise, trustworthiness, and authoritativeness. Sorry, I didn't put them in the right order, but basically if you want to learn more about that, I think I'm going to do a full video on that topic because it's super important. And if you're not following these guidelines, you're going to be a lot less likely to have a featured snippet on Google. Now, one last bit of information that I found, which also enticed me to make this video, is that there might be some good news. The fact that there are a lot of websites that lost featured snippets might just be a temporary problem while Google is making some tests. So you've had recent tweets on Twitter showing that Google is testing new formats for their featured snippets. So you see here info cards in mobile results, and you have different small excerpts from different websites. You see with like key information readily available. You shouldn't give it to your dog. It's a safe drug. The recommended dosage is. So what's very concerning is not all answers are the same, but basically, basically, I don't know, but so they still have some work to do to make this more reliable, which explains maybe they're not entirely ready to roll out this globally, and on all websites they're still making some tests, and maybe in the meantime, they've stopped showing a lot of the old versions of the featured snippets, but that's going to be replaced soon by the new version. Another test they also shared on Twitter. You see another tweet here from a Google expert, and you see here different count results, different formats. So they're trying out different stuff, you see. But what I noticed right away is all these featured snippets have a lot less content than the examples we saw before, right? So it's like a few words at most, which is very different from what we saw in the article before, where you had big paragraphs, tables. So it seems like Google is trying to find really bite-sized responses that really fit the query. I have no idea if it's a good plan or not, if it's a good idea, but it might be worth considering. Maybe FAQ articles where you have a list of questions and short answers might be becoming more popular after that, and might be positively ranked by Google. That's the first solution. Another thing is, I've read everywhere that video has been heavily promoted and favored in the new Google results. So I can't imagine that the percentage of video snippets is going to go down. So I think a safe bet is probably to make if you don't know how to produce content, try making videos like I do here on YouTube. If you want more info about my process, how I create this content, how I get these ideas, how I record, what software equipment I use, tell me in the comments. I'd be super happy to learn more about whether that's an interesting topic for you guys or not. But basically, you can produce content like that, talk about the topic in more depth, and then you can create an article on your blog where you just have like a query, and you can use like a long tail keyword, a long tail question, as we saw in yesterday's video, and you respond in a few words, a very small, or a couple of lines with text, and then your video. And I think that type of content is going to work very well in the future. So hopefully that's helpful to you, and you're not too depressed if you've lost your featured snippets. If that represented a high proportion of your traffic, I do hope that you'll get them back as soon as Google is finished experimenting on these snippets formats. And I do hope that you'll gain back all the visitors and the traffic you've lost, and then some more. So if you want to check out our blog, on the Ad360 blog, we have a ton of content about what to do on your website, guidelines, Google. Yesterday we made a video on the channel to show our metrics. The day before that we made a video on the core web vitals and how this can help you gain back some ranks. So hopefully all this content is valuable. And also remember to always have a few different marketing strategies being applied. So don't rely only on one trick. Don't place all your eggs in the same basket, right? So if you heavily relied on SEO before and you've been negatively impacted, maybe it's time you consider running some ads on the web. And maybe you've tried before Google ads and Facebook ads, but this wasn't working. They were too expensive. You didn't have a good return on ad spend. But you should definitely try different form of ads, including Ad360. Ad360 is our company. We started Ad360 to help small businesses sell more, grow their shop super easily. We've created the easiest advertising process ever, I believe. I'm super happy with what we've done so far. Of course, it can always be better, but I really believe we have the most straightforward, the best user experience possible to start running ads on the web. And in just one click, you can automatically get banners generated in multiple formats, run on hundreds of millions of websites. We're going to automatically find the websites, the placements, the audiences that are going to outperform for your brand and your products. We're going to implement retargeting automatically to enhance results even more and get people back to your website if they leave or abandon a cart. And all that together means that you get more traffic, more visitors, and more buyers for the same ad budget compared to other platforms. If you want to give it a try, with the first link in the description, you can try the app for yourself. And you can also contact us and book a demo if you'd like to learn more and see if that's adapted for your business. I'd be happy to show you a demo and have a chat. I wish you all the best, a ton of success. See you soon.